opposed to just the everyday citizen going about their business. So I don't know of any case where that's happened. The other thing is, you'll get your gun stolen. They'll come out and grab your gun. Yep, that could happen. Definitely could happen.
Yeah, I've seen that happen personally.
But
and we can talk about that if you want.
Yeah, we can in just a minute, and we'll use this as an example. But there's things called retention holsters out there, and if you're going to open carry, we recommend that you get these kinds of holsters. They're not any more expensive than any other kind of holster. But what they do is they usually have some kind of security latch or device that locks your gun in the holster, and it takes some kind of effort to move a button or a knob or something. And generally, bad people, if they're going to just try to grab your gun, aren't going to realize that. And if they try to grab it, it's not going to come out of the holster.
Yep.
And certainly you're not going to let somebody go, just yank on your holster all the time.
Yeah,
and stand there and
give
go,
them time to work on it. Right. Yep.
Yeah, and situational awareness. You don't let people get that close to you. But the thing is, retention holsters for open carry take care of the gun grab issue. Could it happen? Certainly. But those types of things, we think, the benefit of open carrying outweigh those small risks, and you can mitigate those risks by awareness and holster. Now, Nate had a situation where someone tried to grab his gun.
Yeah, I did, and like I said earlier, I use a Serpa. I love it. You kind of laughed. I know there's people on both sides.
And a Serpa is a type of retention holster that has a button. But anyways, that's not really pertinent to the story. It's just a retention holster.
Well, sure. Yeah, I was just going to describe it a bit. But,
yeah, but you don't have to because it's a crap holster. But go ahead.
It's not. It's formed hard plastic. If
you want a good retention holster, get a Safari Land.
Yeah. Okay.
ALS.
Well.
Automatic release. Whatever.
Anyway, you have to push a button with your index finger and pull the firearm pretty much straight up. I was in a gas station in Grayling, Michigan.
Yep. North Central part of the state.
And, I was minding my own business. I bought a pop or whatever. I'm not sure. And
you were at a gas station getting...
Yeah, I don't know what I was
doing. You were la-di-da-di-da-di-da.
Yeah. And I went up. I was paying. I got my change back from the from the teller. And I noticed a Grayling police officer, Officer Dennis Long, actually, is the idiot's name. Yeah. He doesn't work there anymore, which may or may not be related to this. But he snuck around behind me and grabbed my gun and yanked on it. He's a police officer trained, in everything imaginable, right? Because police officers have
they're super
all sorts of training. He could not get my gun out of the holster.
They're like Batman.
And like you said, you're not going to just sit there and let somebody tug on it. And,
right.
And I didn't. I put my arm down pretty forcefully and had a bruise, so I imagine it hurt him too. But and I hope it did. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But he couldn't get my gun out. And he's a police officer.
What's funny, though, is then he wanted to talk to you, and he didn't release your gun.
No, he held my gun the entire time. So illegally detaining me.
Right.
I mean, this was a crime. It was assault.
On his part.
On his part.
Right.
Yeah. And he was telling me that I was brandishing, which is not the case.
Right. And this was very early on in Michigan.
It was fairly early.
Yes. It was very early on.
And what's really weird about it is that he didn't do anything to me other than that. He wouldn't let go of the gun. He lectured me, would not let go of my gun.
Yeah.
And when he was done telling me how it was illegal and I was brandishing, he just said, "Get out of here," and let me go. Didn't arrest me. Didn't do anything. Made a report. He did take my CPL number. I was also carrying concealed, so I had to disclose that. But it was interesing. But I mean, if a police officer can't get your gun out, the
average thug on the street.
You wouldn't think so. Yeah. No. Like I said, he doesn't work in the Grayling Police Department anymore, which I'm very happy about. And the Grayling Police Department they're now, educated on open carry. They understand it. I've talked to their new chief. Yeah. He's on board.
That officer had a bad reputation even with the county sheriff's department for that area anyways. They didn't like him.
Yep. So, that's one of the few cases that I've ever heard of a gun grab try to happen, and it was a police officer who thought I was breaking the law. I can't imagine any officer training that would teach him to approach it that way, to try to steal somebody's gun, because that's just dangerous. I mean, the teller ran to the other side of the store when she saw this happening, which was smart on her part.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah.
Well, what he wanted to do was teach you a lesson that you shouldn't open carry because only police officers are trained in proper gun retention.
Yep.
And it backfired on him.
It did.
Yeah.
I think he felt kind of stupid, and that was good. It tested my holster out and my reflexes, so I suppose that was a good thing. But
well, so Nate and I both practice open carry. We think it's appropriate at times, and we both conceal carry. We do both, and that's what the option is with a concealed pistol license. We enjoyed it so much that we actually wrote a book together.
We did write a book. It's called My Parents Open Carry. It's a children, young, preteen type book.
I would say 10 and up.
Yeah,
easily.
Sure. It's educational. It shows the story of Brenna going through, a day in her life with her parents who both openly carry for self-defense. And
so it goes into a little bit about, the right to self-defense, responsibility, gun safety, talks about the Second Amendment a little bit. We have interactions with people that are both afraid of guns, and we have people that they talk to who just conceal carry. And so we kind of dispel some of the myths about open carry, and it's a great little book. You can get it as a PDF download now.
Yeah, you can.
And you can buy the book itself. And if you buy the book now, the publishers have included another book by another author, Skip Coryell.
I think it's Bond of Unseen Blood.
Bond of Unseen Blood. It's a tale about a father and his son that was taken away in a divorce, and he hasn't seen in a while. So it's sort of an adventure, pro-gun type of story that you get absolutely free.
Yeah, great deal.
So
great deal.
It's a good deal. Either way, you can check it out at www.myparentsopencarry.com.
That's right.
All one word, My Parents Open Carry. Great Christmas gift. That's coming up.
It is coming up, isn't it?
We had people. I just talked to a guy today that bought a copy and donated it to his kid's school library.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing you can do with
School
it, too.
libraries, public libraries.
Any of those places. It's a good pro-gun book made for kids.
Yep.
That talks about open carry and some concealed carry stuff in there. Either one. Very interesting. Check the website out and pick up a copy or two because it's a nice little book for kids, and it'll go over a lot of things that we're talking about today in a very nice little story. And there's a reward at the end.
It'll get the conversation started at the very least.
Absolutely.
Great for homeschooling. I don't
know.
it'd
be great for that.
I don't know if you'd be able to get it into your kids' classrooms in a public school.
Maybe
because they're a little iffy. They like to preach global warming and things like that rather than
guns are
actual
evil
rights. But
and only the police and army should have guns, just like they did in all dictatorships.
Yep, exactly
which is
right.
The stupidest philosophy in the world. But anyways,
yeah, and it doesn't work. You get a lot of citizens dying in those places.
Most gun control, serious gun control, leads to genocide sooner or later.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the idea, because I think most governments that are intent on evil realize that an armed citizenry is very bad and makes it difficult for them to have absolute control over you. So we're talking about gun issues in general, which
our country exists at some level because of an armed
civilian.
Yeah, armed civilians. Yeah,
and a militia.
Yep. So.
All right, let's see. What else do we want to talk about as far as open carry goes? Is it rude? Some people say, "Oh, it's just rude."
Yeah, I've heard that, and
you're just sticking it in our nose.
Yeah, and I don't think so. And along with that is usually there are children around. Think of the children.
Think of the children.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a story I had. This was early on too, before people were really aware of the law and open carry. And I was in a bookstore I won't name, Barnes and Noble, and who are now pro-gun, and they do allow their customers to carry openly. And
you were there to talk to a very pro-gun individual.
Oh, he's all for gun rights, except open carry is stupid. And his name is Ted Nugent. You may have heard of him. I don't know. He's some kind of musician, singer, or something.
He's some sort of musician, and
he had a book, and I wanted to open carry and talk to him about open carry because I knew he was against it.
Not as pro-gun as he says.
Yeah, he's not.
Much like the NRA.
So I was there for this book signing and carrying, and anyways, they the bookstore had hired 2 local police department officers to do security, because when Ted comes to town, you got to have security, I guess. I don't know.
Well, because he's so pro-gun that he'll be attacked first.
And I'm sure he's carrying himself, so you wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't know, though, would you?
But it's concealed. And I'm sure 50% of the people in the line were carrying guns that day.
Yeah, I would guess so.
But I was carrying openly, and the police took it upon themselves to ask me to leave, and I told them, well, I'm not going to leave unless the manager wants to.
You say police. They were working as private security. They were in uniform, though.
Oh, absolutely. They had a patrol car. They had all. I mean, they were working.
And that created an interesting situation of a question of who paid for that. For them to act
I raised all those
security.
questions and bitched to the chief about that.
Yeah.
But,
I think that was handled, wasn't it? Barnes and Nobles at least were supposed to cover the tab for that. Correct?
Oh, they were. Yeah, they were paying them. But my
Yeah.
issue was they were getting those police officers at just their hourly rate, which was much cheaper than it would have cost them to hire a private security firm.
Well, I'm talking the use of the squad car.
That wasn't included, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Barnes and Noble were. I mean, listen,
getting a hell of a deal on that.
Listen, public funds pays for that car, pays for the radio, pays for a lot of their equipment, pays for their training. Barnes and Nobles are getting all of that at a cut rate.
Yeah.
A cut rate, and they're infringing upon the private enterprise of private security.
Yeah, that's not what police departments are for.
Provide, armed services at a much higher rate. So my issue was, the tax dollars. I said, well, if you're going to have Barnes and Nobles pay for that, then I want them to pay a pro rate on what it costs to train the officers and everything.
Sure.
So, and the chief kind of agreed to that and said, yeah, you're kind of right. We should probably do that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they still do. But anyways, they asked me to leave. I wasn't going to leave until I heard from the manager. Manager hiding behind the bookshelves. I'd like you to leave. She says, we have a lot of children here. And I said, oh, that's all right. I'm not afraid of the children. I carry a gun. And her eyes just about popped out of her head like, what?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines.
So, whenever they say, well, there's children here, I say, I'm not afraid of children. I carry a gun.
Yeah.
It just catches them off guard. But anyways, and I'm a smart ass. But,
and obviously that is why you say it, is because you're a smart ass and it's a joke. And you actually are afraid of the children, gun or not. So.
And I don't like children, and I'm very afraid of them. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ankle biters and everything else. Yeah. But the thing is, kids aren't afraid of inanimate objects. They're afraid of fangs and snakes and furry things and spiders. And
in my experience, children are the most excited to see when I open carry and a little boy sees it,
curious,
his eyes light up and
they want to come and talk
hey
to
Dad,
you.
let's go, what's that? And
they're not.
So just from that standpoint, it can start that conversation of a kid, hey Dad, what's that? And then that's a good spark to a conversation of his father to teach him about gun ownership.
And speaking of children, we only have a couple minutes left. I want to throw this in. We had a big case, a Court of Appeals case with Michigan Open Carry versus the Capital Area District Library Authority that banned guns, and they had got a court order to keep all open carriers out of the library. Michigan Open Carry fought that, said our state has a preemption law that says local units of government can't ban firearms because we have this law that the state occupies the field of gun laws.
Yep.
And they disagreed, went to the circuit court. Circuit court judge was very liberal and said, oh, yeah, think of the children. There's children there. You can't have guns there. Ruled against us. We appealed it to the Court of Appeals. Just came out yesterday. The Court of Appeals court reversed that decision and agreed with MOC and said they are an authority. They are a quasi-municipality, a local unit of government formed by local units of government. Therefore, they can't ban firearms.
Yep.
So that's a big victory for gun owners, both open and concealed, because they could ban concealed carry as well.
So if you're around the capital area in Michigan, feel free to legally carry openly in the library.
If you'd like. Now, the library could appeal to the Supreme Court